Good morning. I am recording this at Joseph Gallo Park in Livingston, California. I like to get a little outside time and fresh air and a chance to look at something green every once in a while. What I'm going to do today is go over a staff report from the April 2nd, 2019 City Council meeting. Although this item was tabled until the next City Council meeting, I think this is an item that would be of interest to people in the City of Livingston and outside the general area of the City of Livingston. And I'd like to give you a chance to go over this with me and, think about any questions you might have before it comes up again at the next public hearing at the next City Council meeting. So first off, this is a resolution approving an economic development incentive agreement between the City of Livingston and Foster Poultry Farms. I found this of note under the recommendation that the City Council adopt a resolution approving an economic development incentive agreement between the City and Foster Poultry Farms, whereby the City will pay specific development fees in an amount not to exceed $553,773 and odd change, in return for Foster Farms remaining and expanding its facilities in the city. And the words that caught my interest here are the words remaining and expanding its facilities in the city. And so we have a little background about successful economic development and what it calls for, ... And then at the bottom, I noticed this paragraph. The city has taken a very proactive approach as it relates to economic development, and it involves a multi-pronged approach. It is one of the reasons why the city developed a special fund called the Economic Opportunity Fund. The city needs to be positioned in such a way as to be able to respond to specific actions and needs that surface in the economic development realm. And I made a couple of notes here. Translation: somebody knew something like this was coming. And under develop a special fund, I made a little note about moved money from the general fund. So we don't have a redevelopment agency anymore, so it appears the special fund called the Economic Opportunity Fund has been set up to take the place of what the redevelopment fund used to do. And now let's go on the next page here. Project overview. I highlighted this. Foster Farms is located in the city and employs approximately 2,000 people. This really caught my attention here. Foster Farms recently decided to expand its operations and has considered relocating outside the city and state. Now, for as long as I've been living here, the prevailing wisdom has been that Foster Farms is so invested in Livingston, it'll never leave us. Foster Farms is so big in Livingston, they will never leave us. Well, apparently, it sure looks to me like from the staff report that they were actually thinking about leaving. Once again, the proposed Economic Development Incentive Agreement will provide for the expansion of Foster Farms at its location in the City of Livingston and therefore retain, there's that word retain again, and expand local employment opportunities. And let's see, I'll scan down a little more. If Foster Farms were to cease substantially all of its operations in the city within 3 years of the date a certificate of occupancy was first issued for the project, Foster Farms would be required to pay the fees to the city. Okay, a little bit farther down. It is anticipated that the project will result in the retention of 2,039 jobs and the creation of 7 net new jobs. You see, there's that word retention again. The incentive package includes the participation of the following: the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development, the Office of Assemblyman Adam Gray. Next page. The Merced County Board of Supervisors, the Merced County Department of Community and Economic Development, WorkNet Merced County, Merced Irrigation District. The project is also expected to result in an estimated projected net tax revenue, increased property taxes as follows: $55,860. Under the fiscal impact, the current available balance in the Economic Opportunity Fund is approximately $294,000. This balance plus future inflows into the fund will be used to cover fees contained in the agreement. And I made a little note here about question, where are those inflows going to come from? At Tuesday's council meeting, that question was raised, and the answer that was given at the time by the mayor was, well, we've heard your question and you'll get an answer when the hearing is reopened next time. So I sketched out a little, if I have the math right here, the incentives are $553,774 rounded, minus the amount they already have, equals, almost $260,000 extra that they're going to need to come up with to cover that. Where they're planning to come up with that money to cover that amount, we don't know right at this moment. They're supposed to tell us at the next time that the hearing is opened at the next council meeting. This is the resolution, and what I found interesting in the resolution is that it states right here in this paragraph, whereas Foster Farms is preparing to expand its operations and has considered relocation outside the city and the state of California. And I circled that word has. In other words, it sure looks like they have really reconsidered, and to the point to where it got the City of Livingston and the County of Merced and the state of California involved in a mad scramble of what can we do to keep them here. Okay, standard attest page, Economic Development Incentive Agreement page. And in the first page, right up here, you have all the whereases, and once again, circled right here, whereas Foster Farms is preparing to expand its operations and has considered relocation outside the city and the state of California. Let's see, what was the next thing that caught my attention? On the next page, this is something else that caught my attention. All right, right here you have the list of all of the different fees that the city is planning on covering in order to keep Foster Farms within the city. We have the plan check, building, mechanical, plumbing, and you can just kind of scan through here and see what all the dollar amounts are. All right, this paragraph, location of Foster Farms in the city. Foster Farm acknowledges that the incentive provided by this agreement is in consideration of Foster Farm's agreement to maintain its business operations in the city. Therefore, if Foster Farms ceases operations in the city during this term of this agreement, Foster Farms shall be responsible for the payment of the total amount of fees less the amount of this 184, close to 185,000, for each full year that its operations continued after the date on which a certificate of occupancy was first issued for the project. Kind of like translation, in exchange for this, we promise to stay within the City of Livingston for 3 years. Prevailing wage clause. In the event of any kind or nature based on the labor code, is brought or made against the city, Foster Farms shall be obligated to defend and identify the city with respect to such claims. In other words, if the city gets sued on this, Foster Farms is supposed to take care of it. Indemnity, kind of this the same indemnity clause, another, kind of the same thing. Tax consequences. The tax consequences belong to Foster Farms and not the city. Let's see what the next page. Attorney's fees. Okay, if there's any lawsuits or anything about this, Let's see. Next page. Standard place for those responsible to sign. Next page. This is from the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development. And I'm going to skip down to paragraph 3 where it says project milestones. Taxpayer is a poultry processor. Taxpayer has certified in its application that absent award of this amount, the project may occur in another state and may terminate all or a portion of its employees in California or relocate all or a portion of its employees in California to another state. Next page. Let's see, representations and warranties. Basically, this one is saying all of the things that they say is true. Let's see, scan, down on the bottom. There's a thing, if taxpayer, in other words, Foster Farms, acquires or merges with a business located outside of California and subsequently moves any or all of acquired or merged with businesses' employees to California on a full-time basis, such employees shall count towards the net increase of full-time employees identified in Exhibit A, which follows. Now we have our reporting requirements clause, franchise tax board review clause, assignment and transfer clause. Next page, material breach, in other words, who, depending on who breaks faith, a material breach is failure to timely furnish the documents, material misstatements, failure to materially satisfy applicable milestones, failure to maintain any of the 3 employee-based milestones for a minimum of 3 subsequent taxable years after achieving the milestones. Okay, recapture clause, public records clause, basically that says these are public documents and anybody gets to have a copy of it. All you need to do is ask in the right way. Let's see. Media release clause, identification clause, limitation of remedy clause, integration, record retention, notice, modification, time of the essence, ambiguities. Skip. Necessary acts, future assurances, sections and other headings, consultants and attorneys' fees, representation on authority of party signatories, severability, approval, execution, and governing laws and consent to jurisdiction. All right. Sign page, governor's office, and Foster Poultry Farms. All right, next page. Exhibit A, milestones. Basically, that tells you what they're supposed to be doing as of the 2018 tax year, 2019 tax year, 2020 tax year, 2021 tax year, 2022 tax year. The total California full-time employees, net increase in full-time employees, minimum annual wage for California full-time employees hired, cumulative average annual wage of California full-time employees hired, investments and tax credit allocation. Now let's go to the press statement by Merced County, and introduction. Okay, here we go. Construction for the Foster Farms expansion project has already begun, with completion scheduled for September 2019. The expansion has been made possible by a $6.5 million economic incentive package developed by state and local government leaders working in concert with Foster Farms executive staff. This package includes resources from California Competes, the California Energy Commission Food Production Investment Program, the Merced County Expanded Subsidized Employment Program, the Merced County On-the-Job Training Program, as well as incentives from the City of Livingston. So it's not just the City of Livingston giving Foster Poultry Farms incentives, it is like state and county. All right, here we go. Let's see what our district supervisor said about this. Here we go. The expansion of a local company that employs more than 2,000 people is of particular importance in a community where every job and source of revenue counts, said Vice Chairman Rodrigo Espinoza of the Merced County Board of Supervisors, who also represents Livingston as the District 1 supervisor. I would like to personally thank the Merced County Community and Economic Development Team for spearheading this and working so hard to create a competitive incentive package. All right, let's see if there's anything on the next page of interest. Turn the page. And we have, here we go. The City of Livingston prides itself for having such a dynamic and community-oriented company, and we are pleased to see Foster Farms continue to grow and prosper here, said Gurpal Samra, Mayor of the City of Livingston. We look forward to continuing our close and rewarding partnership for many more years. And then this wraps up with a paragraph about Foster Farms and a little history and what they do. What I'm going to do sometime later today is I will get a link up to where you can get a copy of this document, and I'll have that link included in the description of this video. Those of you who are interested in things Livingston and Foster Farms, particularly this incentive package, if you would like an opportunity to speak to the council directly, you would be given an opportunity during the next public hearing. So I hope to see you there and be there be informed, and be knowledgeable.